Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. Today I have another coding problem. I am not sick anymore, so my voice is back and I can continue to make YouTube videos for you guys. So yeah, this is great. Today we're gonna have another coding problem, and with the coding problem, it is called rotting oranges. Now this is a 2D array solution or problem that we have, and that we're going to need to figure out and solve. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. For the description, it says you are given an m times n grid where each cell can have one of these three values. We have 0 representing the empty cell, 1 representing a fresh orange, and 2 representing a rotten orange. Over here, you can see I put that in as our constants. So I already got that figured out for us. And then I also put in our directions, which we will need to be using. So it says every minute, any fresh orange is a 4 directionally adjacent to a rotten orange becomes rotten. So 4 directionally is like up, right, down, left. So that's why I have my directions right there. And every minute it will become rotten. So here we have an example of a grid pattern where it shows oranges as X's whenever they're rotten. So we have an X and then it spreads and spreads more, as you can see. For constraints, we have M as grid length, N is grid I length, and then we also have a few more that we're not going to get into. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started on this problem. So for this problem, the best solution that I can think of right now is using breadth first search. And with breadth first search, we're going to be needing to do traversals. So what are our subproblems that we need to think of? Well, for our subproblems, we're going to have to be thinking of counting all the rotting oranges. We're also going to have to think of keeping track of all the fresh oranges, the directions, and with that, we're going to have the order tracked with minute basis using our breadth first search. So yeah, for our coding part, I'm thinking we can go ahead and get started. We're going to first put our if statement, and in that if, we're going to be using matrix.length and have that equal to 0. So if the length is 0, return 0. And that would be one of our constraints, as if it's 0, make it 0. Now I'm also going to have our queue here, and our queue is going to be a simple array. With that, we're going to have to make that equal an array. There we go. Now with that, we're going to want to basically keep count. So we're going to use fresh orange and have that equal 0. All right, great. So now what I'm thinking, we can do a double for loop, and in our double for loop, we're going to basically instantiate order. So let's get this started. We're going to have 4, and then let's do let row equals 0. Our row less than the matrix.length. We're using length. And then with that, we're going to have our row divided by 2. In the next one, we're going to let column equal 0. And our column will also be more than the matrix.length. And we're going to have the matrix 0, because if you remember, down here, one of our constraints is I. So that's going to be our column, and we're going to have that as 0. And we're also going to do our column plus plus. So with that, we're going to want to use our for and push, if it's rotten, we're going to push that into a queue. So first we're going to do if matrix row column is equal to, and we're going to use all caps so that we can see it, rotten. Then we're going to do a queue dot push. Like I said, we're going to push our row and column. All right, great. Now we're going to want to also do the same for fresh. So if the matrix row and column equal fresh, then we're going to instantiate our fresh oranges. This will be our adding for fresh orange. Oh, I see what I did wrong there. There we go. I see what I did wrong there. Always check back on your work just in case. All right, now let's go down. Down below, we're going to want our minutes, because we're starting with minutes. We're going to have that equal 0. And with that, we're also going to let our queue size equal our queue length. And we're going to basically start with a while loop. With our while loop, this is our code for our check, basically. So how we're going to do a check is we're going to do while, and then current orange is equal. Actually, first, what we're going to want to do is the queue length. So queue.length is less than 0. Then what we're going to want to do is start an if our current queue size is equal to 0. So that's just for our queue size. Then we're going to have our current queue size equal our queue's length. And we're just gonna go ahead and have minutes go up. All right, great. So now that we have that, we are going to want to go down and have a const. And with our const, we're going to do current orange is equal to queue dot shift. Because what we're going to want to do is shift here, and we're shifting our values to decrement. So with this, we're going to do current queue size. We're going to have that go down, and our const row equal to our current orange. Set that at 0. We're also going to want to set our column and have that as 1. Yep. Making sure that everything is correct here. All right, so far we look so good. All right, we're going to come down, have our for loop, and inside of our for loop, this is basically for our current direction. So we're going to let I equal 0. After, we're going to do I is less than the directions length. And then we're going to instantiate I. All right, now we're going to do our const current direction equal directions. Have our I inside. We're going to do our next row and have that as our row plus our current direction, and we're going to have that set for 0. That's our row. And then for our column, this is basically just taking care of things so we don't have to continuously call them. We're going to have our current direction as 1. All right, with that, we're going to want to do our if statement. And with our if statement, we're basically just having our like we're solving for the 2D array. So it's like above we had their own separate row and column, and now we're going to be doing the if true, then skip. And if it's not true, then we're going to be setting our rottens to 2. So we'll be doing that below. So if we have next row is less than 0, is our or next row is less than or equal to our matrix dot length, or our next column is less than 0, or our next column is less than or equal to our matrix 0, and then we're going to have dot length after that. All right. Now with all that, we're going to set a continue. So if any of those pass, now below that, we're going to have our if. This is basically our, if it's rotten and not true, then set to rotten. Going to decrease our fresh oranges below that. So if our matrix, and we're going to do next row, and then we're also going to be doing next column, is equal to fresh, then we're going to do our matrix, next row, and then next column, and here is where we set it to rotten. Fresh oranges, we're going to want to decrease the number, and then we're going to go ahead and push our next row and our next column. All right, great. We are almost there. Come down here. Here is where we set if our fresh oranges is not equal to 0. Then we're going to want to just return -1 like it told us. Perfect. Now, let's just return the minutes right here. So, from all of these reds, I'm just going to clean up my mistakes. Let's actually go from the top. So, let's see. Rotten. Rotten is also spelled right. Fresh is spelled right. All right, now let's keep checking if we have our let queue size. There we go. And our current queue size looks correct. Making sure on spelling. All right, now our current queue size. Question is why it's showing red. I'm wondering if I set something. These apart just so I can see. All right. I'm going to go ahead and run the code, see what happens. All right, so it says I have 4 equals. This is correct. I did have 4 equals. Run again. So it says our if, so it says current queue size is not defined. So here I have the if current queue size and then equals to 0. Now let's try and find out what I did wrong here. current queue size equal to 0. That should be correct. Oh, there we go. All right, we'll try with this again, see what happens. All right, this is our constant row for current orange. So it's saying our current orange is not defined. Go ahead and see where we set orange. We have fresh orange. A row for our current orange. Oh, I see. It always comes down to your spelling. And if you spell right or not. We're on the code again because I'm pretty sure the direction. Oh, it looks like it just went all the way down to minutes. Minutes is not defined. See what went wrong. Try this now. All right, let's submit. Looks like it was accepted. Now, while I look at this, looking at our time complexity, it does touch every element once with our double for loop that we have up here. So for our time, it would be equal to on. Now, for space, all of our values could be pushed if we just had all fresh oranges and raw oranges. So technically that could make it our space O of n2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Try it out for yourself. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.